Welcome to sunny Barcelona, welcome to the launch of Royal Enfield's new Guerrilla 450. Now this is a bike that some of us saw coming, and let's not make no mistake, this is not a Himalayan in some different clothes. When Royal Enfield started designing the new Royal Enfield Himalayan, they were designing this alongside in a kind of 50-50 split, and that was back in 2008, 2019. COVID kind of got in the way, which would mean it's delayed a little bit. And essentially, Royal Enfield said, we'll launch the Himalayan, then we'll launch this, the Guerrilla 450. So they both share the same 450 single-cylinder engine, which is called the Sherpa engine, which I've tested multiple times on the Royal Enfield, up in the Himalayas and a few times around Europe. Hugely impressive single-cylinder engine. Same power, same torque as this. So we've got 40 PS or 39.5 bhp at 8,000 RPM and 40 Newton meters at just over 5,500 RPM. Now that's the same power and torque as the Himalayan. It's got the same gearbox with that short first gear as the Himalayan, and same switch gear and same hugely informative clocks, which I'll get onto later. But that's kind of like similarities out the window. It was the same design team, but they designed these bikes simultaneously. It's not one is one of the other. So there's not many parts you'll find on this that's on the Himalayan and vice versa. For example, the wheels are completely different, the frame's completely different, and the chassis. So we've got conventional 17-inch wheels with a 160 rear because it's a street bike. We've got a smaller 11-litre tank, so I think we're down about 7 litres. We've got a lower seat height because we've got lower suspension and smaller wheels, so we're down to 780 on the seat height. In terms of weight, we're at 174 kilograms dry and 185 kilograms curb weight, which is 7 kilograms lighter than the Himalayan and 11 kilograms lighter than the Himalayan when we compare 90% fuel. But remember, the Himalayan's got the bigger fuel tank. Power and torque curves are slightly different because the fueling is being revised, so the amount of power you request and the torque you request by the fly-by-wire throttle has changed compared to the Himalayan. So the torque curves and power curves are slightly different, but peak power, peak torque are the same. The actual drive and acceleration is different because we've got a different size rear sprocket and the bike is considerably lighter. So as I said, the similarities is just really the Sherpa engine, which works well on both models, and the excellent clocks and the switch gear. Switch here on the left bar, that's trip 2, fuel range 242k, fuel consumption, voltage, engine temp. So that's all neatly put, revs across the top, mileage there. I'm in 5th, it's saying go up to 6, go up to 6. Really nice clock, same as the Himalayan, or virtually the same. There's probably a few little differences because you can't turn the ABS off on this than you can on the Himalayan. And then you can change the screen differently, but what I've not done is plugged in my phone to the Bluetooth connectivity, because that would be all map. And again, it's all pretty simple to get round from the little toggle switch that I've got on the left bar. And in the top, instead of having numbers, it just illuminates to show me the revs, which is quite cool. So we've had the opportunity to ride this new and exclusive bike here in beautiful Barcelona and up in the hills to put the bike through its paces. Around town is its perfect natural habitat. Really low seat, very soft suspension, copes really well with the speed humps, the potholes, the cobbles. Steering lock is a little bit restricted. I thought the steering lock would be a little bit tighter to get us around those real tight turns, which you notice when you're doing a U-turn. But aside from that, the weight is relatively low. It's got a nice balance to it. I can get 2 feet firmly on the floor, even though I'm only a short rider. Then once we move out of town, the engine is a little bit chunky on the lower RPM, below 2,000, which is what you'd expect from a single-cylinder low-capacity bike. But once above 2,000, it's nice and smooth, nice power, nice progressive. I think 85% of the torque is from 2,000 RPM onwards. And on the freeway or motorway, it's quite comfortable at 100 kilometers an hour, 120 kilometers an hour. Now I've rode the Enfield Himalayan at a faster pace at 150, 160, and it'll be perfectly fine at those high motorway speeds, 70, 80 miles an hour and a little bit more. It starts to get a little bit vibey, as you'd expect from an A2 bike, but it's quite comfortable to sit at those speeds.
Apparently 3.5 kilometres of twisties. That's better, man, son! Likes a bit of Lewis. The lever's like, there's not enough adjustment on the lever, so I can't get it close enough to the bar. Oh, a bit dusty through there. It's where the trucks drag on the dirt. On the apexes it's really dusty. Not ideal, but I mean, that is good, isn't it? Oh, bit of ABS. Oh, it's got hit by something in the knee.
Then as we left Barcelona and we came up into the beautiful hills that we have here, I wasn't expecting too much of the suspension because it worked so well on the kind of soft and easy access and stable settings around town. But it was actually quite lively, quite light and nice steering. And the CEAT tyres that are made in India, previously on other reviews, I've given them a bit of a hard rating, but honestly, if this was like a blindfold test and we swapped these tyres for a Dunlop, a Pirelli or a Michelin, it'd be hard to tell the difference. The quality of these tyres has really been pulled up. It's not like the Hunter 350. These tyres have been made in partnership with Royal Enfield, and you can feel that, you can see that. I'm unsure what it's going to be like in the wet, and when it's cold, it's 29 degrees and the road is like a racetrack, so they are going to grip. But I can only test it in the conditions we have here, and in the conditions we have here, they're gripping really well. On the odd occasion, the pegs just touch the ground, but it's not a bike with poor ground clearance. You've really got to push it into the corner to make the pegs touch. The handling is really impressive considering how well it worked in town. Generally, if a bike is softly sprung and comfortable and easy access, then it'll push wide and it'll sit too much on the shock between fast direction changes. But this has worked really well. Really stable, very forgiving, very easy, very impressive bike. Little faults for me, the brake lever doesn't have any span adjustment, so I've got little hands, and a lot of new riders and female riders will be in the same boat, and the lever's quite a stretch. It's a little bit vibey at high speeds, but then I'm really starting to find little niggly faults. The big question is going to be price, because we don't know at this moment what the price is going to be. For reference, the Himalayan is 625, 628, so just over £6,000 in the UK at base price. I suggest this is going to be a little bit lower, which is probably going to be like 5.9 or 6-ish, there or thereabouts, which then puts it in competition with other single cylinders that are A2 compliant, like the KTM 390 or the Husqvarna Smart Pillin and Vit Pillin. And then obviously you've got the Triumph Speed 400, which is a single cylinder British bike, which is the very obvious competition. I guess it's who the bike is aimed at and who's attracted to this bike. There's customers who are going to want the Triumph Speed 400 who are coming back to bikes, or they're using it as a second bike, who are probably my age, a little bit more mature, and appealing to the kind of big bike feel of the Royal Enfield. And it has that real motorcycle feel. It doesn't feel like a 450, it feels like a 600 or a 650. You pull up to a bike meet, it's a proper bike with proper metal, proper robust, proper strong. It's more expensive than the Triumph, so it'll be interesting when we get the two together. When you compare it to the KTM, the Husqvarna, the Smart Pillin, the Vit Pillin, the KTM I think is appealing to a different market, despite the Royal Enfield coming in some really funky colours. The Smart Pillin and Vit Pillin are probably more similar, And they do come with more rider aids. So this has 2 rider modes, Eco Performance, standard ABS that you cannot switch off, where those come with cornering ABS, cornering traction control and launch control and pit lane limiters and a plethora of rider aids. Now the big argument is, do you need a plethora of rider aids on a bike that's A2 compliant that's got 40 horsepower? We'll leave that for the discussions down below. But there is no way of hiding the fact that it is lacking tech when you compare it to the KTM and the Husqvarna and those techie models with a lot of tech appealing to a younger audience. But overall, if we could sum up the bike, it takes all the excellent qualities of the Himalayan, the really nice engine, good build quality, feels mechanical, feels robust, feels solid, feels like I can ride this bike for about 3 or 4 winters and it'll still come up looking like this. The tyres should last forever and they've improved in grip. The handling is a lot better than I expected because it's working well on twisters as it is in town. Okay, it's not a sports bike, it's not a race bike. You will find limitations of the front brake and the ABS, but overall, an excellent package. Very impressive bike, but the big question will be when we put it against the competition. But as a world's first ride exclusive test, hugely impressive. Well done, Royal Enfield.
Okay.